Welcome back to Offsides, BUTV10's only professional sports talk show. I'm Allison DeWitt.
And I'm Sasha Abrams. To kick things off, George Atencio and Bobby Serafin will discuss the upcoming World Cup.
Then, Caflun and Raf Bruni will discuss their NFL midseason awards.
And finally, Seth Helman will give his thoughts on the recent issues surrounding Kyrie Irving.
All this and more, Offside starts right now.
Welcome to Offsides World Cup Preview. I'm your host, George Atencio, joined by Bobby Serafin to bring you some major headlines and predictions surrounding one of the world's biggest international sporting events. Bobby, let's start off with the host nation, Qatar, and its surrounding controversies.
Well, George, terrible allegations of bribery, a terrible human rights track record, and poor treatment of migrant workers and LGBTQ plus fans are just the tip of the iceberg for Qatar. FIFA executives have gone on record calling the decision to award Qatar the tournament a mistake, and the Australian men's national team has since released a video condemning the host nation. We should see more acts of protest as major French cities are boycotting the tournament by not setting up giant screens and fan zones.
Yeah, Bobby, the controversies surrounding Qatar are going to make spectators question the credibility of FIFA in general as an organization. But for now, let's take a look at the 8 groups and talk about some dark horses and favorites for the tournament. So, starting with Group A, I'm looking at the Netherlands to win this group. It's a pretty easy pick, followed by Senegal, who's led by Sadio Mane, and then following them, Ecuador, and then the host nation, Qatar. So really with the Netherlands, we're looking at a world-class backline. It's built around Van Dijk, De Vrij, De Ligt, Dumfries, some really impressive names. And then the forwards, Depay, midfielder De Jong, some really great players that are going to make this team pretty much an easy sell for the knockouts.
Yeah, and George, the Senegalese team, they come in without Ismaila Sarr due to suspension. They have Sadio Mane leading the line, but I don't think they have enough in defense to challenge this Dutch team, who just seem to be way, way too good for this group. And I think, moving on to Group B, which is going to be one of the headliners since not only is the USA involved, but a lot of pressure on England. I think they have a lot of criticism for Gareth Southgate, their manager's squad selections. A little confusing. I think England is going to come out on top of this group in the long run, though, with the US finishing in second place. Wales, the other team in this group, obviously has Gareth Bale, who's been the country star for over a decade. And Iran, the final team, has, great team cohesion, but with the U.S.'s young talent and England's veteran presence, that should lead those two teams to the knockouts. But despite the talent on England's team, I don't see them going all the way. I just don't think they have that mentality in them to take this World Cup.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. Their performance in the recent Euro tournament kind of says enough. Plus the injuries to Reece James and Kyle Walker are also a big setback. So, yeah, anyway, let's move on to Group C. This is a big one. Argentina, they're playing with Messi's legacy at stake here. And then they are also competing with Poland, who, not an amazing team, but with Lewandowski and goalkeeper Wojciech Szczesny, they should be able to make it to the knockouts. Then there's Mexico. Mexico has some great names, but they're also facing some injuries. Jimenez is doubtful, and then also Corona will be out for the tournament.
Yeah, George, this is likely Messi's final look at a World Cup, and I'd see Argentina as a squad that can really challenge to make it all the way to the final. The team around the superstar has never been this good, so Messi no longer has the pressure of carrying the nation on his back. Going into Group D, as far as it's concerned, it features reigning champs France, led by Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema and young phenom Kylian Mbappe. Despite the absence of midfielders Paul Pogba and N'Golo Kante, they should be at the top of the group, followed by a resilient Danish side, Australia, and then Tunisia. This is a very similar group to 2018, which will make it extremely competitive. But despite the looming World Cup curse, which has plagued former champions for nearly a quarter century, there's no way France will fail to get out of this group.
Yeah, they truly have a star-studded lineup, and I think Aurelien Tchouameni and midfielder Eduardo Camavinga are going to step in for Pogba and Kante and really take France to the knockout and then possibly to a final or at least a top 4 position. Anyway, so let's move on to Group E. Perennial powerhouses, Spain and Germany, they're competing for a top spot, and then Japan and Costa Rica are probably going to struggle to make it to the knockouts. Both the Spanish and German sides have a mix of veterans and young stars like Pedri and Kai Havertz, and they should provide an interesting battle in this strong group. Bobby, how about Group F?
I mean, George, for Group F, it features a really strong Belgium side led by star midfielder Kevin De Bruyne. And, they still got Romelu Lukaku bagging in the goals, so they should be as dangerous as ever. But then they're followed by a Luka Modric-led Croatian side and potentially a Cinderella team in Canada led by Bayern's Alphonso Davies. And, even an interesting Moroccan side that features stars like PSG's Achraf Hakimi and Chelsea's Hakim Ziyech. This, in my opinion, is the World Cup's group of death. As all four of these teams have aspirations that go further than the group stage. Even though the sun is setting on this Belgium golden generation, I still see them topping the group. I think Canada, they can get second place. I think they'll shock everybody here.
Yeah, 100%. Group F is definitely one to look out for. But Group G features a heavy favorite in Brazil and a major dark horse, in my opinion, Serbia. So Brazil is led by forwards Neymar Jr., Vinicius Jr., who both have recently been in amazing form for their respective clubs. And the Serbians will look at forwards Dusan Vlahovic, Alexander Mitrovic, and winger/midfielder Dusan Tadic, who will bring their nation definitely to the knockouts in my eyes. Switzerland and Cameroon will be at the bottom of this group, and I don't think they'll have much of a chance. Bobby, how about our last group?
Well, seriously, this is a very interesting one to end on because it features one of the greatest players of all time in Cristiano Ronaldo, him leading Portugal, and he's followed up by Uruguay, and those are the two headlines of this group, followed by an exciting South Korean side and a Ghanaian team that's looking for revenge against Uruguayan striker Luis Suarez, who crushed their dreams back in the 2010 World Cup with an intentional goal-saving handball that led to a missed penalty kick. The injury to defender Ronald Araujo will make it tough for Uruguay to go far in this tournament, but Portugal, they're absolutely loaded. They still have Ronaldo, João Felix, Bernardo Silva, Ruben Diaz. They're all young talents that are going to impact this squad a lot, and I see them topping this group, followed by South Korea, who I think will come out on top against Uruguay and Ghana. They have Tottenham's world-class striker, Heung-min Son, and Napoli defender Min Jae Kim, which has been a part of a Napoli side that's really impressed people this year. So I think South Korea are definitely in this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that squad. Well, that does it for our group predictions. Bobby, who do you think is going to come up on top?
If we're thinking long-term, we already touched on this a little bit. This Argentina squad, they haven't lost in over 6 months. If this is the year for Messi to do it, it's now. He could potentially go up against Neymar in the semis and then face Cristiano Ronaldo in the final. As a soccer fan, what more can you ask for? So I think I have Argentina lifting this one in Qatar.
Well, Bobby, I think it's going to be Brazil. It's a team built on electric forwards, a solid veteran defense, and world-class goalkeeping in Ederson and Becker.
They have a lot of talent going forward, but is Neymar that guy to lead them all the way to a World Cup final? They weren't able to do it in 2014 when they were the host country. They haven't won since 2002. I think if they run into a European powerhouse or see Lionel Messi in Argentina in the semis, I think that's when their route's going to come to an end. So as much as I love some of the attacking threats that Brazil offers, I got to stick with my boys in Argentina.
All right, fair enough. Well, we'll see what the coming months hold for us. This concludes Offsides 2022 World Cup preview. Next, Jared and Raf give out some mid-season NFL awards.
The NFL season is well underway, and we now know a lot about these teams. Who is playoff bound, who has issues to fix, and who has to rebuild completely. I'm Jared Caflun, and I'm joined today by Raf Bruni to give out some praise and criticism to players and teams alike at this point in the season. Today we'll be giving out mid-season awards. Raf, let's begin on defense. Who would your pick be for Defensive Player of the Year?
My pick for Defensive Player of the Year is Micah Parsons. The 23-year-old linebacker for the Dallas Cowboys has been stellar during this first half of the season. So far, Parsons has had 8 sacks. In only his second year in the league, Parsons looked like he might already be taking home the coveted Defensive Player of the Year award.
He's simply incredible. The Cowboys defense needs him. They might be the best defense in the league because of that, and I think they can go very far. I'm going to stay in the division, though, for my pick for Coach of the Year, and that'll be Brian Daboll. The Giants should be way, way, way worse right now. They should maybe have 2 wins. Instead, they're 6-2, and they look playoff bound. Brian Daboll, the former offensive coordinator for the Bills, has been simply incredible, and I don't think there's anyone else who deserves the award more. Moving on, who's your pick for Offensive Player of the Year?
My pick for Offensive Player of the Year is Josh Allen. The 26-year-old quarterback for the Buffalo Bills has been an unstoppable force with his impressive arm strength and running ability. So far this season, Allen has had 17 touchdowns, 2,000 passing yards, and only 4 interceptions. With this type of play, he gets my mid-season Offensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah, this might be the Bills' year. This might be Josh's year for MVP. I'm also going to stay in the AFC East this time, and another New York team, my New York Football Jets, for my pick for Rookie of the Year. Now, I would do offensive and defensive. I believe it would have been Breece Hall and Sauce Gardner, but unfortunately, Breece Hall got injured, so I will just go with Sauce Gardner, who might not just be the defensive rookie of the year, but the best cornerback in the league already. I mean, Sauce Gardner has the most pass blockups of any cornerback. He has some of the lowest passing yards allowed, the lowest passer rating. He's incredible. I don't think he'll be the best corner by the end of the year, but he's top 5. He's unbelievable and a cornerstone for this defense. Now, I want to move on, and before we wrap up and do some kind of fun awards, so who would you pick to be the biggest bust or disappointment so far this year?
My biggest bust of the season is Russell Wilson. After the Broncos gave Russell a 5-year, $245 million extension, you would think he would play amazingly, right? Well, not exactly. In his first season with the Broncos, Russell has looked like a shell of his former self. So far this season, he hasn't thrown many touchdown passes, and it only took him 7 games to reach 2/3 of last year's interceptions total. The Russell Wilson-led Broncos have been a flop so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about Russ, that's for sure, but I do want to talk about his replacement for my pick for the biggest surprise of the year, and that's Geno Smith, another former Jet who simply was a bust and a career backup. But now he might be a top half quarterback in the league and a MVP candidate. If you told me that on betting lines you could bet for Geno Smith last year, I would call you crazy. He's been so good, a natural leader. They should keep him for a while. They don't need to draft a quarterback. Geno's been incredible.
Yeah, well, I certainly wouldn't have expected them to be this good. To call this season surprising would be an understatement.
Yeah, it's been a really weird year, but that's all the time we have today. We'll revisit these predictions in a few months and see if they hold up. Next, Seth Helman shares his thoughts on the latest Kyrie Irving controversy.
On October 27th, Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving shared a link on Twitter to the movie Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up, Black America. The movie is based on a book with the same title, which is filled with various anti-Semitic tropes. The book pushes the narrative of the black Hebrew Israelites who claim that they are the real Jews. The book specifically falsely claims that many European Jews have admitted to worshiping Satan, and also brings up the anti-Semitic trope of Jews controlling the banks and the media. Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai condemned Irving's tweet, expressing disappointment in the anti-Semitic nature of the book, and saying that it is wrong to promote hate based on race, ethnicity, or religion. The NBA released a statement against hate speech, but did not punish Irving in any way. Irving has refused to apologize for the tweet, saying, quote, "I'm not going to stand down for what I believe in," and that he has a whole army around him, and that he didn't hurt anybody. Newsflash, Kyrie, you did hurt people. Firstly, this post was shared on the 4-year anniversary of the Tree of Life synagogue shooting in Pittsburgh, in which 11 people were killed. Secondly, while he doesn't explicitly call for violence, saying that today's Jews are not the real Jews opens the door for violence against them. Saying that black people have been robbed of the title of God's chosen people breeds disdain and anger towards Jews, and disdain and anger can lead to violence. To be honest with you, I'm really just tired. I'm tired of people like Deshaun Jackson sharing quotes saying that Jews are extorting America and deceiving black people. I'm tired of people like Steven Jackson doubling down on it. And I'm tired of people like Malcolm Jenkins defending both of them and saying that anti-Semitism is not a real enough problem. I'm tired of opening up my phone every day and seeing that another Jew has been murdered. I'm just tired. Kyrie, you need to see the error of your ways. You need to apologize. You need to hold yourself accountable. You need to just shut up and sit down.
Thanks, Seth. That's all we have for this episode of Offsides. If you are interested in joining our team, please email us at offsides@butv10.com.
Also, be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Offsides10.
On behalf of our entire cast and crew, thanks for watching and have a great night.